Once again, it's your boy Lobo KBC. In this video blog, I'm going to show you some of my process and techniques that I used to paint this denim jacket for the 50-year anniversary of hip-hop. First, I'll start with a white Stabilo pencil to give a rough outline before I lay down any primer. And now I'll start with a mixture of GAC 900, which is a heat set fabric medium, Liquitex acrylic and titanium white, and a few drops of gesso by Liquitex also. And I mix it up in a little yogurt container that I keep after my kids eat them all. So I'm going to use a 2-inch brush after I mix everything up and do a light coating, nothing too heavy, just because I don't want the jacket to be all stiff when it's done. What I didn't do was record the heat treat process. I take a heat gun every once in a while in this process, and I pass the heat gun over the gesso textile medium, and then when it's done at the end, I throw it in the dryer. So I just make sure everything gets heat setted into the fabric. So I wouldn't wash it all the time, but you could wash the jacket without worrying about the image coming off. And also, if you don't do it and you just use gesso or regular primer and prime it, it's super stiff and it's not malleable. So I prefer to use the textile medium when I mix it with the acrylic. And also, I like to leave some of the denim jacket in the background exposed. And then it gives some character to the image, and it makes the rocker panel across the shoulder pop out even more. And it gives it that kind of balance, because I'm white up top. I got, 3X in shirt, so that jacket, it just goes across my shoulders perfectly. So now I'm going to come in with a Posca marker and do a rough draft that I reference DJ K Slay, rest in peace. He was a DJ and a graffiti artist, Desi Dez. And I went online, I found a picture of him DJing, and that was my reference. Back in the days, I have an aunt that lived in East Harlem on 105th and Madison, a block away from the Graffiti Hall of Fame. And when I was a kid, I would go there and I see all the greats: Valken, Dez, Part TDS, Task Crew always killed the back wall. And that was an era, I got to see all that firsthand. So I just wanted to pay my respect and homage to Dez on this jacket as well. Rest in peace, DJ K Slay. So some of the paint I'm going to be using is the Golden Fluid Acrylic, some Montana Water Base, and Molotov all for one refills, which is mostly like a marker acrylic refill, but I use them with a brush. And the brush I like to use is the Winsor Newton Round number 6. I've been using that same brush for outlines and doing detail work for about the last 7 to 10 years. That's my go-to brush. So now I'm going to start filling in the DJ with a mid-tone, a base layer of blue, just to block in the color. It's just a cheap brush that I got at Michael's on one of those sets, but it covers well. At this point, I'm just blocking in colors. I'm not trying to do anything solid. I'm not trying to bring it to life yet. I'm just laying down a mid-tone color that I know I'm gonna use highlights and shadows on, and then come back in with the mid-tone and just blend everything together. That's like the process I usually do. And at the same time, I'm not even going off of any color reference. I'm just looking at my palette and what I have in front of me. And like I said in the other video, I'm putting it to work. I'm putting it to use. You know, I'm making it work. So I start coming in with a darker blue to bring out some of the shadows and start giving life to the DJ. You know, I really enjoy painting at night. Once everybody in my household's in bed asleep, you know, family always comes first. And for me, all I need is about 5 hours of rest a day. You know. You know, the DJ is a very important part, element of hip-hop. You know, they're the conductors of the orchestra. They're the ones that lead the vibration and the jam. You know, I got 2 DJs in my family, my Uncle Eddie and my D.O. Bobby Switch. So, you know, I got to see those Technique 1200 spinning and a giant Gemini mixer when I was a kid. Shit was great. You know, I got a lot of respect for DJs. This is truly a craft that I wish one day I could pick up. BG, what up? So I'm just continue giving it little shadows here and there just to make the character start popping out. So then once that's done, I'm gonna come in with the highlight. You know, this is a process, man. This thing took me about, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours. In the span of 2 nights and early morning one day, so it's not quick at all, you know. This is something I do for free. I'm pretty much doing this for free because this is my jacket. You know, I just do it out of love. So I'm just watching the time lapse like you guys, and I don't know, what should I be doing? Should I continue to talk about doing shadows, talking about my history in this hip-hop world? You know, all this YouTube stuff is all brand new to me. So I'm just here watching the video, doing the voiceover, and thinking to myself, am I leaving too much music in between? Am I talking too much? You know, just This is a brand new process for me. And I just gotta figure out what's the best way to do this. Now, if you're asking yourself, what's the other brush in my mouth? That's my secondary brush. It's dry. So I like to go into the painting and kind of soften the colors out as I'm doing it. So I'll go in, throw the shadow or the highlight, and then come in with the dry brush and blend those colors together while they're still on like wet and wet. Now I'm going to start adding highlights to the DJ, get him some pop. And like I said before, I'm still beginning. I have about 7 hours of footage that I have to edit into a 30-minute video. And I'm not even going to lie, all I do on my free time, I'll pull out my phone now and I'll be on YouTube. How to do this, how to do the voiceover, which apps to use on this. And now I'm looking at overhead rigs and doing tutorials and doing stuff on my iPad. So whatever kind of free time I have, I'm going to try to put out some kind of video, either paint time, that I'll put a series out, or do other videos like this when I'm painting, or do videos that I'm doing black book illustrations. And I was even going to try to record like the different events I'm painting at, but try to record and paint at the same time live. That's one step that I got to get used to doing next. And now I'll go back in with the mid-tone that I started with and give it a second coat, and using a secondary brush to do the dry blending with the highs and lows. This is one of my favorite parts. Making sure all the values look right, the light source looks right, the light is in the right direction. These are all the things that I learned along the way. I never made it to no art school, but you'd be surprised with the amount of information you can learn from the streets, just from other graffiti artists. And now I'm going to go in with Persian Blue from Golden Acrylic. It looks like black. It's super dark, but I'm going to add some black later on. If you see the background is already blocked in, it's because my phone died when I was recording. And I guess that's a part of vlogging. Trying to focus on painting, doing art, and filming at the same time when I'm stuck in the zone. I didn't check my camera. This ain't the first time this shit happened to me, and most likely it's not going to be the last. I always loved hip-hop culture ever since I was a kid, growing up in the Bronx. I had friends that were B-boys, MCs, and like I said, my two uncles were DJs. At the end of the day, I'm a writer. That's where I fall into the game. I'm always going to be a fan of graffiti too. And I love the 90s. It was a time when styles were still developing. It's when I first got my hands on the European paint. It was the good old days. It was a great era of hip-hop. And what's dope to see that culture is coming back to this tradition. The old school ways of hip-hop, breakdancing, MCing, graph writing, even the beatboxer. When I see this stuff now in my community, and I live in a rural part of California, and the culture is here, it just amazes me. Like how something could be created in the Bronx in the 70s, 50 years later, you got people breakdancing and doing graph and rapping in Humboldt County, California. It's an amazing thing. So I was having a hard time with how I was going to add the element of B-boys to the jacket. So I took the picture, I put it on Procreate, and I did a rough draft, and this is what I came up with. Now I'm using a Posca acrylic paint pen to lay down a rough outline of the graffiti style, saying hip-hop, and the letters I and O are two B-boy characters. And just like how I started doing the DJ in the beginning of the video, I'm doing pretty much the same thing. I'm just blocking it in colors right now. I'm just using the main color of the lettering and blocking it off in big sections with a whiter brush. And then I'll come back in and I'll start adding some details into it. That was actually the end of the first night. And I'm pretty much doing the same thing here now. I'm just going to give it some highlights and some lowlights, and I'm going to go back and forth, just messing around with it, bringing some old school funk. You know, I really like this piece because I kind of went retro with the whole color scheme too. You're going to see. And if you look at the background, you know, I'm trying to hide my name. So if you look at the white that's coming off of the DJ, you can see a Lobo hidden in there. I really like that color. It reminds me of Safety Purple from Krylon, Plum Purple. And you know I had to put that bomb in there. That was a staple in black books and in walls back in the days. You know I talk about the past a lot, but if it wasn't for those times, I would never have been the artist I am today. You know, the first time I ever picked up a can, I was about 11, 12 years old. You know, that's almost 30 years ago. And you know, at the end of the day, I keep on going back to that can. I'm going back to that brush. You know, keep on painting. You know, I live by a saying, no days off. You know, I've been saying that for years. A lot of people say it. But there's only a few people that actually live that way, you know? This is something that no matter how much work you put out or how much work you do, I feel like it's never enough. So I gotta keep on continuing to putting out more work. And keep on putting out quality work. And keep on getting better and better and better with age. And I'm to the point where I could do things on the fly fast. And people be like, man, that's amazing. And I feel like I could do better next time. So that's how the cookie crumbles, man. You just keep on pushing yourself. You see, I went retro right there. I started putting in that pink in the 3D. That thing is starting to pop. And then if you do look at the past and you see what people were doing and creating back then, they didn't have no references. They used their mind. So I absorbed all that information in my brain. I can just go back in the filing cabinet in my head and bring the past into the future. It's crazy. Back to the future. And now I took some of that plum purple and I mixed a little bit of blue into it to give it a little darker shade. Watch. And start coming back into it and bring some little bit of depth, some darkness into the 3D to make it pop out a little more. So it's just like I said the last time, man. It's a way how you play with colors to fuck with your eyes. So when people see it, they be like, damn, that shit look like it's moving forward, like it's popping at you. So now I'm going to start outlining with the Posca brush tip pen. I love the nibs on those pens. They flow like crazy. And the best part about that pen is once it dries up, all you got to do is pop it open, take out the valve, and refill it with some black acrylic paint. And I thin it out a little bit. I think I refilled that pen about 3-4 times already. And also, if you can see, I'm left-handed. So I usually start at the end of the piece and I work my way over on the outline. So if I start from the left to right, I won't take that chance of smudging the outline with the back side of my hand. So I start from right and then go left, But if you look at it right there, you see how everything just starts coming to life. It starts popping all together. It's pretty fresh. It's the final product right there. I got the 4 elements of hip hop. I got the DJ with the mic for the MC. I got the graffiti with the 2 b-boy characters in there. And after that, I was blessed to paint live with my boy right there, Christopher Demise. Thanks to Humboldt Hip Hop Congress for inviting us to this 50-year anniversary of hip hop. It was a blast. Now here's a clip of the next generation and our future of hip hop. Thank you guys for taking the time and watching my video on the 50 years of hip hop anniversary denim jacket I created. And thanks again to the Hip Hop Congress. Thanks again to the Epitome Gallery. Thanks again to all the support from our community, Humboldt County. And thanks again for the Bronx for creating a culture, hip hop, Bronx made, no days off, Lobo, KBC, HR. Peace.